broadcast network, AFTERBUZZ TV. Over 20 million weekly downloads in over 150 countries, and your #1 source for after-show entertainment. AFTERBUZZ TV, the destination for TV superfans. Producing aftershows for over 300 of your favorite TV shows. Interviewing celebrities and showrunners. And bringing you behind-the-scenes exclusives. All thanks to E! Entertainment's Maria Menounos, producer Kevin Undergaro, and internet leader Akamai. Now, let the buzz begin!
Hello, AfterBuzzers.
Hey!
Welcome to another UnREAL After Show. I'm your host, Sam Davidson. If you guys haven't done so already, please go on iTunes, YouTube, SoundCloud, rate, review, subscribe. We really appreciate hearing from you. Tonight, we're covering Season 1, Episode 8, titled 2. If you guys want to tweet at us tonight, you can tweet at us at AfterBuzzz TV or me at SamD43. And we have a very special guest in the studio with us tonight, Miss Breeda Wool.
Hello!
Also known as our favorite character, Faith, of course. If anyone wants to tweet at you tonight, where can they find you, Breeda?
Breeda Wool.
Awesome, it's pretty easy. And of course, I have my awesome co-hosts here with me together again, all of us. Want to introduce you guys?
What's going on, guys? Bobby DeMuro here.
What's up, guys? At Nicholas Grava, Twitter and Instagram. Tweet at me.
Asia Moné here at Asia M. Seldon.
Awesome. Well, tonight was pretty intense.
Right.
Let's talk about just our general thoughts for a moment. Were you guys surprised at anything that happened, or do you think everything's going to unfold kind of how we expected?
I already know how the show ends. I'll save it for predictions. It involves you, but I already know how the show ends.
You really do, or no?
Mm-hmm.
Why?
I'm like 90% sure. My person, as y'all know, has been Faith the whole time, from like episode number 1.
True. You have been consistent with that. I will give you that. You haven't been switching up.
No. These people, these three are Johnny Come Latelys. They're
that is a lie.
You've been my favorite. One of my favorites.
Did you see him last week when we had last week another show? Yeah, they've been saying that to everybody. You've been my person since day 1. I know how it's gonna end. I could be wrong.
Oh, so you don't know.
So you're not 90%.
Bobby prediction.
I'm 95%.
We know how those go.
Okay.
Yeah.
I was surprised this episode at the beginning, Chet, the first half of how he was. I'd never seen Chet act in this way. He was pretty lovey-dovey and positive and happy and everything was good. Then sort of he got into his old habits toward the end, but I like seeing a little bit of a different side of Chet in this episode.
The only thing that kind of shocked or surprised me was Madison. And we'll leave that to the end as well, but that's the only big shocker for me. Everything else, I kind of predicted it.
I did.
Because I'm half the time always right.
I'm always right.
That's a good odds. 50-50. Will you marry me? Yes.
You never know.
50-50 chance I'll be right about that.
I do wish that, Faith got a little more playtime in this episode, but I loved your scene. I absolutely loved it.
With the clay?
With the clay. It was amazing. Before we start to really dig into the episode, I think we have a special announcement from our sponsor,
We
Mazda.
do. You guys have heard this before. You're not new here to AfterBuzz, of course. To keep the lights on, to keep the cameras rolling, to keep you guys with so much good free content, we have a ton of great sponsors, partners, people like that, companies like that who help us out to do that. One of those is Mazda. So, does driving matter to you at home? There are over 4 million miles of road in the U.S. to find out, which is a lot of ground to cover. A lot of highways, freeways, wrong ways, and long ways. They are all there waiting to be driven on. So, do you take the left turn at Albuquerque, or do you just keep going? Do you wake up early Sunday morning for a drive before the traffic does, or do you take the long, winding road home for a change? If driving matters to you guys, just get out and drive. Why? Well, because driving matters. Mazda.
It does. Thank you. Thank you very much
good.
for that, Bobby.
Thank you.
That was good.
All right.
We've done it every week here. They're awesome. They've sponsored us for a long time. I've almost memorized that thing.
I was expecting you to. You looked down a few times. I was a little disappointed.
Well, you just want to make sure you get it right.
Yeah.
Looking down is just like a...
Just to know.
action.
Okay.
I'm not an actor.
Don't stick up for him just because Brittany pulling for you. Oh, God.
You guys, Bobby was late
I'm with you
because...
day 1.
Yeah.
Yes.
Bobby was driving because driving matters.
Okay, that's true.
That's
I have a question to lead up.
partially true.
I have a burning question I just need to ask. from the beginning of the show, when you signed on, you got the first couple scripts. Who knew? Did anybody know who was going to make it? Who was going to last? Was there any talk of that at the beginning, or was that basically you waited week by week to figure that out?
Give us the real answer.
The real answer?
The real
Or the
answer.
unreal answer? Well, we sort of knew our character arc. So we shot the pilot, and then we came back and we reshot the pilot and had the season that we were going to do. We'd been picked up. It was very exciting. And we get there, and for me, Sarah Shapiro came up to me at a cocktail party and was like, okay, you want to sit down? You want to hear? You want to hear your thing? You want to sit down and hear your thing? And so she sat down and she told me this beautiful arc, but it was up until episode 5. And so after episode 5, I have no idea. I don't even know what's going to happen.
Wow.
I still don't know what's going to happen.
Wow.
But so different people, depending on how they were writing and how the arcs were sort of developing over the season, would know to a certain point where they were going.
Okay.
Like Ashley Scott.
Yep.
Knew where she knew her thing, and she sat down next to me at the reading of episode 1 and was like, I just found out something really great. She was like, I don't know if I can tell you, but it's really great.
That was such a huge turning point of the show, though,
Yeah.
when she died. When Mary died, it was like, whoa, this shit's real. It's getting real, guys.
I didn't see, even up until the point where she was on the roof, I never thought that, I just didn't expect it. And I love shows that continually will shock me in that aspect. So I don't want to say I enjoyed it, but I thought for the plot, it was really cool and it really did change things up for me as a viewer.
As does Faith's character. She always surprises me still. I mean, now I kind of know what to expect from Faith, but I didn't really think she was a lesbian to begin with. That didn't really come to my mind. I thought that your friend from home was going to have sex with Adam. I thought that was what was going to happen.
That was all of our first I think a lot of us when that episode started, that's where our heads were at. Which I don't know what that said.
I agree with you on that, but it was until Rachel kind of started peeking around in her room that I kind of began to connect the pieces together. I'm like, Rachel's going to try to piece a story or make up something about that, and then that's how that developed. So that's what I got. I'm inquisitive.
I mean, originally, we sort of played around with me having different professions. And so I was a bull rider at one point. There was like a little seedling of being a bull rider, and I was like, oh yeah, okay, like a bull rider, I got it, which I didn't. But I think from the beginning, even before I knew that arc for myself, I had, I'm very religious. I'm a virgin. Those two things I put together as being like, oh, okay. And, I'm in the story, I'm 27 years old, and it's like, well, why did this roll out like this? And this sort of awkwardness around being feminine and hitting on people, and just that entire awkward, unfamiliarity and, I sort of knew.
What was it? I think about when I saw that happen, when we saw that scene, I think about Ellen DeGeneres. And when she came out in her sitcom, 20 years ago, that was huge. And since then, we've had a lot of gay and lesbian and now transgender characters. You see Jeffrey Tambor in, what's it called?
Transparent.
Yeah,
Transparent, yes. When this dropped, when that episode came out, did you get a response from people saying this is pioneering, this is great, this is TV? Or at this point, is it just like, okay, that's cool?
Well, it landed on the same weekend that the Marriage Equality Act
That's true.
passed.
Yeah.
And so there was this, which was very kismet. And I felt like a lot of things around this project came into line very beautifully for me. Where I was like, oh yeah, this is supposed to be happening for sure in the cosmos.
I love it.
But I mean, when I found out that that was what was happening, I mean, almost immediately I thought I felt honored to have a story that had such a relevant mission for what's going on right now. And Sarah Shapiro gave me this documentary called Mississippi L-Word. And basically, in Mississippi L-Word, people who come out in certain areas in Mississippi, they people boycott their businesses, they're ostracized from their church, you know, their families disown them. We're talking about serious consequences.
Right.
You know, it's not like, oh, I'll move to LA and, you know, just be free or whatever you do in LA. But, you know, so I knew that I had to tell that story with some genuine, you know, fervorance building up to honor the people who really have that story and who struggle with that, especially in religious communities. Or more conservative communities that they haven't, they've adapted the Bible or the Quran or, you know, whatever book they're going by to ostracize the gay community. And there isn't always something in the Bible that necessarily says that, or there's other things that say something else, but they leave that out, they put that in, and it's like they make a little thing that's basically very hateful, and, you know, but so I got some feedback from Christian Today that was very supportive, and I think there's a huge Christian contingency that's like, yeah, this is a serious thing, and in this story I deal with like my relationship with God and how I'm gonna become who I really am in the light of God. And so I think I haven't received any like religious backlash.
We got in a long discussion on this panel about it the week it happened, and being from the South myself, a different state, I was kind of like, listen, I know that the show has to stereotype a little bit because you only get 40-something minutes. Every scene's only going to get a couple minutes at most. Right. So you got to stereotype and tell the story of a conservative community, a religious community. But I'm glad you mentioned the Christian Today thing, because in my experience in the South, it wouldn't be quite as bad as I think a lot of people not from there think. And we had a big discussion about that, whether it is or not. And I'm glad that the feedback from Christians that you've heard, it sounds like, has been pretty good, because I don't think in a lot of cases it's as bad as people think. There are some with the documentary where it is. It surely absolutely is, but it's not so cut and dry like that. So I guess I appreciate hearing that it's a little more of a gray area than black and white.
It's definitely gray. I mean, and Christian in the U.S. is a pretty wide sweeping, you know, arm. Like, that means a whole variety of different things. But in the UnREAL, I'm from that town.
Yeah,
right.
It's gonna, or maybe not.
And that just
maybe
that
I
just
go
ups,
back and
that just ups the conflict. So you got to do it, right? You want the conflict. You don't want people to say, "Oh, she came out. Well, this is great. We love her anyways." You need the conflict there to struggle with it anyways. That's the point of a TV show. So yeah.
But it, you know, we're definitely hitting it at a time where this topic is becoming popularized.
Yeah.
You know, just people accepting the gay community and LGBT community is becoming something where we see struggle, and then a little burst of glory.
Little rainbow.
A little rainbow of glory has come along.
Well, let's get into tonight's episode, which was pretty juicy. We start off with Rachel and Adam in bed. They didn't do anything yet.
At this point in
the episode, when it starts, and they're really developing feelings for one another, it kind of seems. I mean, she has gone to him to kind of console her. She had just had sex with Jeremy, and Jeremy is into it. I mean, he really likes Rachel.
Yeah.
Obviously. And
I never saw that. I always thought if I was to predict anything, I would have said it's Rachel that's going to be gunning for him the whole time, and he's not going to be interested. He's never going to flip back. I didn't think that was going to happen. And this episode, especially when he went up to her at like midpoint through and said, you know, listen, like, are you into it too? And she just had that blank face, and I was like, wow, okay, didn't see this happening.
Yeah, I said it in my prediction last week, though. I said that Jeremy would leave Lizzie because he would really start feeling Rachel. However, just Rachel was not feeling him like that. It's too late. You dropped the ball. She tried to give him a chance, and
well, she did. He just went home with his fiance because she said, "Let's go home." I mean, she was probably his ride. So, I mean, what was the big deal? It was a kind of big turn.
I felt like when they had that sexual intercourse, for her, that was just intercourse. Some people can do that. They can detach themselves. He seemed a bit more attached to her in that moment. And like I said, she just wasn't, it's not there for her. It's more of a, let me kind of get this off and let me get my pleasure out of this and go on about my business.
What were you going to say,
I think
Breeda?
the biggest theme with Rachel is that she has no idea what she wants. So every time she thinks she wants something, she gets it, she doesn't want it. She flips what her intentions are constantly. She's like forever dancing this line of, do I do the right thing? She seems to be like burdened by doing the right thing, but then totally free from it on the other side. And she really excels when she abandons doing the right thing. It seems like, and then she excels until it blows up in her face. But you know, she wanted Jeremy when she couldn't have him.
And now that she can, I'm kind of like that too. Now that I know that I can have you, it's like, okay, well, I win. In my head, I win, so I'm done playing, you know? And I feel like that may be where she's at. I know how it feels to be the winner, you know? So, not saying I win all the time, but I know what it feels like. And I feel like she kind of got him where she wanted him, and now it's kind of like,
Yeah.
go along now.
I mean, she thrives in struggle.
And having
so
power.
If it's easy, I mean, the whole thing is like, if something's actually nice and good and easy, it's very uncomfortable for her. Happiness. I mean, in episode 5, she talks about, you know, happiness doesn't feel good. You know, that's a very, you know, place of depression and things where you get something and it just the receiving of something good doesn't feel good at all.
I think that's why we always toyed with, because in the beginning of the show, we would always say, is her moral compass good or is it bad? And we would want like a definitive answer. And I guess because she always lives in that struggle is why we could never define it. One of us would say good, the other would say no. I think she's just acting like that, like to get what she wants. And then we would always toy with that until we come to realize that's the character, that's who she is, that's who she's in the moment. There isn't a finite answer.
They said it in the episode last night, Monday. She's a shark. That's the comment. Quinn said you're a shark. You're emotionless. Your eyes glass over, or whatever the word was. Your eyes go dark, and there's no emotion. You manipulate Faith and Anna and Grace, but it's not about the manipulation. It's not about an evil emotion or a good one. It's about, hey, this is what I got to do. This is my job. I'm really good at it. I don't care. I don't care what happens to you and you and you, but I'm doing my job and this is what I do, and it's not malicious and it's not good. Yeah. And so this good and evil scale that we've definitely put her on all year, she doesn't register. That's not her. I don't think she's good or evil. She's completely lost.
I mean, good and evil are the stereotypes for held for the contestant.
Yeah.
You know, the producers have a much more complex background.
Yeah.
Right.
And so do the contestants, but you know, you're dealing with this dichotomy between women being like put into a stereotype and like women in a prism. The light goes in and shoots out a different direction and color. That's what a prism is, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Great. That's great.
I think it's also a Dodge, I think. Or
Is it a
Nissan, it's a car.
Hey, driving is better.
Yeah, there you go.
Yeah.
Driving is fantastic. But you know, that's you see in this last episode, Quinn is enticed by the same bullshit she's been dishing to America. She falls for what Chet does, and Chet sets up a scene that looks like it's the set of Everlasting, and she completely melts into the same false fabric that she makes for all these contestants. She's as equally as vulnerable to that.
Absolutely. And it's so funny, when Natasha Wilson was here last week, like, she was a psych major in college and she's so smart.
Definitely.
Like, Natasha was so smart, and she was talking just about how psychologically all of these women are really the same. Like the contestants, Rachel, Quinn, like,
She did a great job on this show. I love her.
I love her too. She's great.
She's so I remember one time we were on the balcony and we were waiting. I think her and I said we'd stay to be extras because all the cast has to stick around to be walk in the background, and you'd be like, you'd be there for 12 hours and then be like, we just need 2 of you, and I'd be like, all right, I'll do it. So her and I were walking around in the background. We had to move, and I, in this show, I'm 6 feet tall, but in this show I'm 6'4" with heels, and she just Natasha, you guys met her. She looked up at me and she was just like. She had these big beaming eyes, and I was verklempt. I was like, oh my god, I can I stand next to you? Is this okay? Like, I think she really killed it.
She really did. Let's get into what you were talking about. It was Chet and Quinn, and at the beginning of the episode, they talked to Brad, the network executive, who said, God, are you guys okay? Like, what happened last week with Mary was so sad, but we got the best ratings ever.
Yeah,
right.
Death sells. That's awesome. Maybe someone else should die. Ha ha ha. Kind of.
Yeah, it was his turns. I think were really funny because he was like, "Oh, is it okay?" But the numbers, and he's like, "But how are the kids?" But could you imagine a 2-hour ending? And like we can see then right there where his head's at and what his priorities are.
I mean, TV thrives on tragedy. I mean, if you watch the news, you're just like, especially local news, it's just like a car crash. But not from a Mazda.
Don't look at me. I just say.
But not that kind. Yeah, I mean, there's so much stimulation around. I mean, a lot of shows are about horror murder. I think SVU. I was actually on SVU. Had like molestation coming across the bottom on the credits, people are like, it's,
That show honestly does crack me up. I know it's kind of messed up, but girls love that show. Girls love SVU. Oh. Girls love SVU. I mean, what's wrong with people? Like, I can't. Like, it upsets me deeply, but so many females just like get off on that show. I swear, they're obsessed with it. Why?
I think Mariska Hargitay is like a superhero. That's why she's she's a Batman of like,
that she
like
to me,
rape. She's like a rape Batman.
Right, I identify her with that show. Like when I think of SVU, I think of her, and I just like the storyline. I like it. Intrigues me. It's sad. Like I'm into tragedy, but it draws me into it.
Well, clearly, if you look at go ahead. No, go ahead.
In real life, she works. She's like the real deal. She has a whole foundation. And she works with like building up abused homes and single mothers. She's like serious.
All right,
she's the real deal.
Yeah.
So you're like, now you're gonna like love watching it.
Now I'll like probably try it again. I mean, I do need a new show, because I have nothing else to do with my life. So basically, they Chet and Quinn and Brad. Well, it's Brad pitches them Royal Love, which is going to be the backdoor pilot spinoff of the show, and they want Adam to get married on national television, because usually in the finales of these shows we get a proposal, not a marriage. Never. I mean, I know The Bachelor is not this show, but let's be honest, we've said this before, that's what it's based off of. And I think with this series as well, it wouldn't be the first time that someone gets married on a finale. That I think we can safely assume that. Like, if Adam were to get married in the finale, that would be the first time in the franchise that this had ever happened. Right. And Brad really wants Grace, the little bikini model. He put it some ridiculous.
The swimsuit model.
Yeah, the swimsuit. And he said what he said, Mexican swimsuit model. She's, she's Brazilian. And he was like, Telemundo's gonna love it.
Right.
Yeah.
Brad.
Oh, Brad.
Scale of 1 to 10 in your experience. How closely does Brad relate to people on the business side of television?
I don't know.
You don't have to name names here.
I don't know. Everyone acts like I think anyone in Brad's position puts it on real smooth.
Yeah.
So you never know. They're like.
Yeah. But all they do is think about demographic. I mean, that's what they have to care about.
Yeah, it takes a lot of money to make television.
Yeah.
It takes a lot of money to make movies. I mean, there's very few people that can really pull off something beautiful with a very small amount of money. So there's this artful side, but I think reality dating shows are really trying to appeal to the populace. So it really becomes a numbers game. They're just trying to generate what is going to appeal to the most amount of people, not necessarily a niche that'll become,
Yeah.
But apparently with the, reality TV appeals to a huge amount of people of all different, walks of life.
You're looking at a few here, so absolutely.
Yeah? What shows?
Oh, God, name it.
He's the king. I'm just the Bachelor girl. I love
Me and Bobby
stuff.
watch a lot of reality TV.
Yeah,
we
probably
do
too
the
much.
Kardashian after show here at AfterBuzz. That's one of our.
Name a show on Bravo. I get it in. I mean, I know I'm not the demographic. We're not really the demographic for this.
But we
at all.
watch it.
But it's relatable.
I'm a Bravo
right?
fanatic, so I'm a Bravo girl over here.
There's something about reality TV that is like I can just check out, and then it's just like without other TV where I'm thinking and trying to build the reality TV. I'm like, okay, I'm just gonna sit back and chill.
As terrible as that sounds.
It sounds terrible, I know, but it's the truth. Clearly, a lot of America's doing that too.
You have an actor in here who's worked her life, who's just dying inside.
Do you watch zero reality TV, or do you have some reality guilty pleasure?
I watch Vice.
Okay.
She can't go back on a theatrical set.
I guess that's
admitting
true.
to watching reality TV. They will shun the hell out of her.
Sure.
No, I mean, the thing about reality TV that I really have a hard time watching, and actually some narrative programs as well, is they give you a little bit of information, and then they have a lead up, and then they have a nugget, and then they have a commercial break. Then they go back and tell you what they were going to do and the front thing, and it becomes this really chaotic back and forth where you actually only get about 4 minutes of actual progressive story, and it's all surrounding like one little thing that may or may not have happened, and then they show it to you at the end, and it's not like the clip.
It's nothing like the
That
clip.
part.
It's nothing
I
like the
hate
clip.
that.
Yeah.
And I will watch that with like intense frustration. So I have a very hard time. It's so, and maybe UnREAL will sort of allow people to see how constructed it is.
Yeah.
But the construction is so bare bones. You know, it looks like a building that just
To be
they
fair,
left the scaffolding on and didn't even finish it.
that intellectual level you're describing is ideal for some of us. That's about all that we
That's
can handle.
what we
Yeah.
need sometimes. So I think you know what is
breakdown.
true though. Actually, we see it on UnREAL is what Quinn will do with storylines or with a little clip of a little soundbite, and they build around it. Which is why this show, and we've talked about this too, is how does this show change or affect people's perception of reality TV? Will people draw the line, or will people say, that's crazy, that definitely doesn't happen? Which we've heard from being on this side that it does more often than not.
I don't think you ever have to know whether it really happens. You just have to ask if it does.
Yeah.
You know, we've planted the question. It doesn't
Right.
matter what
That's
the answer
true.
is.
Very true.
You know?
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, I think everyone's always wondered especially if they watch The Bachelor, what happens really behind the scenes. But this show, I think, has brought it to a lot of people's attention.
I think majority of it is scripted. I don't care what it is that you're watching. I feel like we get that here. The rawness we get is what goes on behind the scenes. I feel like that's what the story is. That's where the juice is. And I kind of got that from this. I mean, we all know they build the storylines. They piece the stories together. They develop the storyboard usually before certain characters come in and things like that. So we already go in there knowing that. However, the way they piece it together, we still continue to watch it. I still continue to watch it, knowing I know what's usually is going to happen. So, I mean, it's America's guilty pleasure. Not even just America.
Everybody. Well, let's get into the Chet and Quinn proposal. So we kind of touched on it. He, does all the candles, everything, and he's not even divorced yet. And, proposes marriage. He wants to get married very quickly. Quinn is hesitant, but she's thrilled. It's like she has changed her hard exterior fast. And it's so sad because he's her kryptonite. And it's super messed up. And as much as I hate, which we'll get into a little bit later, what happened tonight in this episode.
You all right? Everything?
I was just really, I don't know if you guys noticed that I'm wearing a braid or not, but that's in honor of Craig Bierko tonight.
Oh, God.
Okay.
Oh, God.
Just kidding. Not kidding.
I saw his tweets last night. I don't know if you guys went on his Twitter or whatever. And there were people tweeting him all night he was responding to that were like, dude, you're the man. I got to learn from you, bro. And all this sort of stuff.
Taking advantage.
It was an insight. I was like, okay, this is something.
This is why he walks around there like he thinks it's the stuff anyway. You gotta just pump his head up.
That's really messed up because, I don't know if you guys have heard about The Bachelorette this season, but she got slut-shamed so badly on Twitter that, mothers were tweeting her after she, said she slept with someone on television saying, I want you to die. I hope you rot in hell and, crawl into a hole in misery and, all this messed up stuff. But if a guy seems to do it on television, people want to be like him. But if a girl does it, she's a slut. And, you know, Chet is kind of the king of this world, but at the same time, he's still a man. And people, I don't like to see
give
that.
him certain allowances that they wouldn't give.
Exactly. If it were Quinn doing that, she would have been fired so fast. If she was, you know, some PA was going down on her in a truck, I mean, and someone saw I think that it just is completely different, and it does show gender lines.
The gender's an issue, but I think the issue also is the pocketbook. Chet's got the money. Chet's got a lot of money. He fronts this thing. And if the roles were flipped and Quinn had the money, maybe she'd get more backlash if she was doing what he did. But if she's fronting the thing, I think people would treat it very similar to the way they treat Chet. And also, my interpretation of the way everybody else looks at Chet, especially with the scene like the driving today when he and Rachel are driving, it's not that they don't respect him, but everybody, to a certain extent, thinks he's whacked out of his head,
right?
Which they should. So, not that he's being shamed for what he does, and your point is valid about how Quinn would be treated, but it's not like people are sitting here respecting Chet a ton. Everybody thinks he's kind of full of shit. Yeah. Am I wrong? I don't know.
No, I said it from day one.
I mean, I guess what you were talking about is that a man who's full of shit gets, you know, elevated.
But I'm saying his elevation.
The reverence.
His elevation comes from the money. It definitely comes from his gender for sure. I think it also a lot comes from the money. And look at people like Jay. Look at Jay saying, "Hey, Chet's got money. I'm gonna get him. I'm gonna get my show." But when Chet has the girls around him, how does Jay react? He's like, I just want to talk about my show for sure. But he's also not like, "Hey, Chet, you're the man. This is cool. I want to live the lifestyle."
Right.
Girls aside. He's like, "Okay, this is kind of stupid. I just want to talk about my show."
Yeah, he's making a deal with the devil.
Yeah.
And to me, I guess you would say money makes him a man, but I don't see any male dominance in him. What makes him a man? Because he has money. Money symbolizes power. To me, he wouldn't even be anything I was intrigued by. He doesn't strike me as a man. But I guess in terms of the show, the money symbolizes power. But for this one right here,
Oh, he's 13.
He can have that.
Yeah, he's 13.
He can have all
Most
of it.
people on this show are about 13 years old mentally.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Let's just hope all the girls are, you know, over 18. And that was like in
physically,
the,
for
what
sure.
if in the finale, like the big reveal is like Grace is 17.
Oh God.
That would be terrible. Okay, so
You nailed it. That's what it is.
I nailed it.
Leak.
Let's get into the girls and Adam. So Adam, you know, I think we actually see him have somewhat of a moral compass tonight, more so than we ever have. You know, he says when they ask him about royal love and, you know, it's either going to be Grace or Anna. He's like, marriage, you know, is actually something real to me, whether you believe it or not.
Yeah.
He did say that to Rachel, and to me that maybe was like a backsided hint that, I mean, I'm not saying he wants to marry Rachel, but I think he also does want to prove to her that, like, he could be in a relationship. He really seems to like her.
Oh, definitely. I think through this, I don't think he thinks for like I don't think marriage is in his sights at this point. I think that's why when they present it to him, he's like, "This is such a load of crap. Like, I've already signed off for this load of crap. I'm not willing to go that deep in." And I think Rachel's the only person that he can have a true conversation with without having boundaries up. And I think that's why their connection is so unique to me, and that's why she's really the one that could convince him otherwise.
And remember why Adam is on this show. He's not here to find love. He's not here to find a date. He's here to rebuild his brand. As much as I hate that word.
Yeah.
He's not there for love anyway. So you talk about a marriage, you talk about going back to the UK, and he's like, wait a second, all the goodwill I might have done with my brand that I probably didn't do anyways is going to be destroyed when this shit show hits my country. Forget about it.
Right. So Chet gives Rachel the weirdest pep talk ever, and followed by a pretty weird pep talk by Quinn as well.
Yeah.
Like, their parenting skills are banana
Bizarre, yeah.
totally bizarre, but completely
child.
work in regards to Rachel. And she goes in and she reorganizes the entire thing to get him. And then, don't know if it's too early to bring this up.
Go for it.
Go for it.
Is her boning Adam part of her desire to succeed as the producer of that next spin-off show? Because she knows that they're filmed. She watches the monitors constantly, and she knows. And is this her play?
Oh, wow. That's
Her long-form play.
I did not
that's
even
good, girl.
think about that at all, because we saw in scenes from next week that they get found out. But I'm so naive sometimes. Like, I think about, and I'm like, you know what, I'm smart. How did I not put that together? Like, come on, I'm thinking Rachel doesn't know she's being filmed the whole time, but you're completely, absolutely right. She
I don't
totally
know if she
did.
does or if she doesn't.
Well,
She totally did.
I mean,
so it might be part of her.
Yeah.
She's producing him.
Mm-hmm.
I could see
Quinn,
that.
too.
I could definitely
That's
see
Quinn
that.
producing.
Yeah.
Where she's like, let's get married right away. I love you.
Right.
Let's get married right away.
I didn't know what she was doing when she went into the safe and she got the zip drive and then when she said that, I was like, oh,
Well,
Quinn.
I started laughing. I didn't know what Quinn was going to do either. So, so we'll get into this part, which we've been touching on we just need to get into it. So Madison, the PA, whose name we couldn't even remember last week, I said last week, I feel like she's a mini, like Shia. Shia's a mini Rachel. Rachel's a mini Quinn. Like it's, and on top of their duties, of course, PA is below this kind of producer, but just personality-wise, as far as their careers and what they want, and they're all kind of going to turn into each other. And this PA, who we said was a wolf in sheep's clothing, like, she gets yelled at by Quinn about coffee, and you'd think this girl's going to be, oh, so sad. And Chet goes up to her, and Chet have had a couple random weird conversations.
The lighter when she gave him a light.
Yeah, and he's smoking weed, and, but she still always seems so innocent. But this time, she's like, oh, I'm not afraid of her. I've wanted to do this forever. Next thing we know, she's going down on him in one of those trucks. And Quinn sees.
I love it so much. I can't even tell you, when we read that, we were all sitting at the table, we read, and they give us our scripts, and everyone was just like, oh! I think people were pushing their seats back, just like, oh! And it was definitely, we were like, whoa, this show is going there so hard. It was, I mean, that's the thing. I think she's gonna, as it goes on, we're gonna see a little bit more of how that wolf in sheep's clothing comes through. I mean, she's as equally as opportunistic as everyone else.
Yeah.
I mean, I think this is something I think, and you tell me if you think I'm wrong, or you'll tell me, I'm sure, if you think I'm wrong, just Bobby always.
I probably will.
A lot of people in this position, as a PA in this business, or as a producer, or as anything like that, they don't often stumble into that position, I feel. A lot of people in these positions do work their entire life just to get on the set and just to do that. And no one is ever like, I want to be a PA, and that's it. Maybe in 10 years, no, people are like, I want to be a PA and then jump to this position. So I feel this to me is like, I'm not saying the sleeping or, the hooking up aspect, but I feel like it's kind of accurate to things that could happen or would happen on a set of people being like, oh, I don't care if she yells at me, like, I want to do this my whole life. They're sickly into that, to just do anything and go anywhere. Do you guys think that's true to life or not so much?
In my experience with people I know who are PAs, you can probably speak to this better than I can, but on the sets I've seen and the people I know, they work like dogs to get and become PAs.
Treated like dogs.
It's horrible.
I have seen some producers just treat PAs very
bad.
Yeah.
This is actually a really long, drawn-out PSA for PAs.
Yeah.
And can we treat them better, please?
And what's funny about that is we say
them.
that. You say that, say, can we treat them better? The hours are long, the pay is shit. The whole thing's terrible. But there are enough people who are crazy enough to want to do it because they have to pay their dues. And they say, this is how I pay my dues. Right. So it just perpetuates.
Well,
I think you're exactly right.
Maybe that's why I haven't been invited back on set, because I've walked off on the set because because I felt that I was underappreciated or undervalued. And I feel like sometimes my morals come before anything. So if I feel like you're trying to take advantage of me, then this is not for me, and I will walk away. So maybe that bingo.
I think you're the exception. I think you're the exception to
exactly. But hopefully, we have more women or individuals.
Well, let's of course get into Faith State tonight, which was super fun. Like, I loved that. And let's just say, Adam ends up sending Shamiqua home. He could have easily sent Faith home. He knows that she's not gonna have sex with him.
But he likes Faith. Their connection is so real. It could be the realest connection out there.
Yeah. I mean,
that's probably why he's there. Based off that connection.
I mean, he doesn't want a wife, right? He wants.
Don't say it. Don't say it. I was going to predict in a minute. Don't say it.
Okay.
What?
Don't say it.
Oh, he's going to claim your prediction. He doesn't know.
No. When I called at the start of the show, this is exactly where I'm at right now.
Okay. Well, I guess we'll get into that in predictions.
Oh, man.
Guys. So, like I said, Shamiqua goes home. I loved her exit. And what did she say under her breath? She was like, "This is such a waste of my time."
Yeah.
I knew it.
Yeah.
And then she hugs him. She's like,
Hugs
"Thank
and
you."
smiled. Yeah.
Christy Lang is such an awesome woman.
Yeah, that's what I've heard.
She's an extremely, I don't know, just poised and powerful and just fun. She was like our Canadian contingency.
I mean, sad to see her go. I wish she definitely had a bigger role on the show. And I knew this was going to be the final 3. And, you know, Anna, let's just talk about her for a quick hot sec.
Right.
She decides to turn the heat on this week because, and the sad thing is that Anna feels a real connection with Adam. I think this is the first time Adam perhaps might have started to feel a connection for her. Maybe I'm being super naive.
I don't think so.
I don't think so either.
I
don't even know if she. I think at this point she is reading the situation of what the situation is. I don't even know if she believes as much as she did in the beginning that he truly cares for her or is truly in love. I mean, after you watch this dude and what he does with everybody else, I guess you'd have to be delusional, but we also do see some signs of delusion from a lot of the ladies,
Quinn
so I'm
does
not
it.
sure.
Quinn has done it the whole season so far. You watch a guy play you for a fool and you go back every time. I feel like she has a connection with Adam and somewhat believes that they can be together at some point. You've watched the women on this show do that.
And isn't Anna kind of, I wonder this because she mentioned it today when they were talking about, you know, Adam went to my dad's funeral. He wouldn't have come to that if he didn't feel something. Isn't Anna trying to legitimize her own role in the show to herself?
Yeah.
Just like Shamiqua said, what a waste of my time. Anna's sitting here saying, wait a second, my dad died. I missed his death. I almost missed his funeral. The whole show screwed me up. I am not going to lose now. I'm at least going to get something out of this, which is a terrible reason to do this.
That's a good point,
The
though.
opportunity to win is as intoxicating in the contestants as it is in the producers. There's the competitiveness is rampant through the whole thing. I mean, even there was a time when I was shooting this where I was trying to win a fake reality TV show. You were like, oh, maybe if this happens, then it's like not even a real reality show. Breeda was trying to win through faith. It's reality TV show. Yeah.
Well, she might just win. You never know. So we end the episode with a high point. Jeremy goes looking for Rachel, does not find her because Rachel is in bed with Adam. Like, really
Breaking him off.
Yeah, really in bed with Adam. I mean, you know, good one, Asia. That was great.
That's exactly what happened.
Yeah, it is. And, you know, we don't really, I mean, I think that Rachel likes him. I think I'm like the...
Well, again, I think we're trying to draw a definitive answer from this lady, and I don't think she knows. I think at this moment, at this time, she is in lust with him and maybe likes him, but I don't even know if she's like, I like him, not him, that's that. I don't think she knows that as a person, as a character.
Go back 30 minutes to what we were talking about. She likes the game.
Yeah.
Adam's still the game for her.
Or she's producing him.
Yeah.
Or she's... That's the thing. I can't even take that consideration right now. Oh, my
She
God.
seems like the only one... She seems to be the only one who can really manipulate Adam. So... Giving him what he wanted at that moment, or what she wanted to, could have been what got her that spinoff show.
Right.
But we see her, I mean, I feel like she does get jealous a little bit. We could see it in her eyes briefly when she's watching him and Anna. And did she really want to put herself through that, through a spinoff of him being married? And I don't know if she hates herself that
does
much.
marriage mean anything to her when she's pitching it to him as like, do it for a year and then you get it annulled? I don't even know if that means anything. She's like, I'll hook up with you a couple months in anyway.
It's all above board that it's a false
Yeah.
television marriage and that there's no validity to it.
Right.
And
Anna doesn't know that, really.
She, I think, is buying
Grace
into the
knows
real...
it.
Yeah.
Grace knows it, sort of. But the contestants aren't as savvy to the, like, this is completely fake.
And she even presented to him the idea of, like, just you don't have to even marry her. You could be engaged with her for about a year, break it off, bam.
Was
Then
it
you have
royal
your
remodel?
Yeah, royal renovation.
Oh, right, yeah.
She's always thinking it's a business to her.
Yeah.
So
Well,
she's playing him.
I don't know.
Sorry.
I think that leads us into some great predictions because I think we all think super different things.
I have a question for you first. Let's talk about your accent. So,
My accent?
yes,
Okay.
because I have a compliment for you, but I want to know first, how did you study it? Where did you learn it? What did you do to prep for the accent?
Well, Oh, that's a good question. I listen to a lot of country music.
There we go. Who's your favorite?
I liked Shania Twain.
Oh, I love Shania.
It's weird because the stuff that like I would have liked previously, wasn't in line with what I would like in this story of UnREAL.
Mm-hmm.
So I sort of switched and started trying to listen to things. I was reading the Bible, like not like trying to make any judgments that were based on my own personal beliefs about things or opinions about music. So like after a while, I was like, oh, Shania Twain is good. If you don't go in open-hearted, Shania Twain's really good.
Shania Twain is. She has A for Shania Twain.
I'll debate you. We can talk about country off air, but okay.
Yeah. But at first, when we first started, we can talk about country off air. Okay, we will.
You got another hour or two?
Yeah, maybe.
Okay.
I can only talk 5 minutes more about country though. But when we first started, we didn't know where I was from. So there was I think it really started out Texas. Mm-hmm. My accent. I people from the South, I'm sorry for what I've done to your language. But, and what I found out, especially that I'm a rodeo girl, I'm a barrel racer. And then I started looking into, the rodeo system in Canada. There's like a rodeo accent.
Yeah.
There's a country accent that has nothing to do with where you're from. Mm-hmm. There's certain colloquial accents and then there's just like, this is how it's like a twang you pick up and maintain because you ride the rodeo.
Yeah.
It's its own thing.
Did you go to Calgary?
Canadians have it.
Did you ever go to the rodeo in Calgary?
No, it wasn't there at the same time.
Go there. Yeah. It's a trip, man.
Yeah.
Go there. I'm telling you.
And are they talking with that like sort of like...
Yeah, but I mean just the whole event. Like I don't know if y'all have ever been to a rodeo. It's insane. And like there's the whole animal rights issue with this is a serious thing. But if you remove yourself from that in and of itself and just watch the events and stuff, what a piece of Americana, or in Canada, what a piece of Canadian culture. It's insane.
That's what we do every reality TV.
But the reason I mentioned it is the reason I was talking about your accent. You do one thing, and I don't even know if you notice that you do it. But when people talk in Southern accents, they like to go twangy because it's Southern, and they do that real nasal twang if they don't know what they're doing. And you have like a throaty addition to it, and you talk in a Southern accent, and it's a little bit of whispery too. That's how people actually talk in the South. And different people in different places are watching this and saying, oh, you're full of shit. But a lot of the Southern accents that I've noticed, the legitimate ones, you talk with kind of a throaty voice anyways, because nobody talks through their nose, And when you're putting on a Southern accent, well, it's the South, we like to twang, and you got that second, deeper part of it that's really, really subtle, but actual Southern people do. And I've talked to, millions of Southern people in my day.
There's definitely a stereotype from Southern women, specifically, that's like a super fascinating. I watched all these documentaries on Southern women, but I don't think that where I'm from, I identify with the women as much as...
Yeah, that's not the same...
I don't fall into line with maybe...
Ooh, there's a party out there. Oh my gosh.
Sorry about that, guys.
Are we having a party?
You know Southern Belle in the most traditional sense, absolutely.
You do.
And that's and so there was all these like, what do Southern women say? And it would get very nasally, but it seemed like it was something that they themselves were doing for fun. Like they wouldn't necessarily tuck their kids in at night being like, it was like their own fun thing that they would do in a group of other women.
Yeah. All right. Well, on that note, Asia, would you like to start us off?
I always start.
What are we starting?
The
predictions. So we're starting some predictions for the next few weeks. Come on.
I'll start though. Mm-hmm. So as far as the whole Quinn and Chet situation, I definitely feel as if Quinn may start thinking with her head instead of her emotions. And what I mean by that, given the fact that she knows, or now I hope realizes who Chet really is and that there is no love there, I think she's going to try to not really compete with him, but gonna flip the script on him, basically. And possibly with her getting married to Chet, the show could potentially be be her. She can get her 50%. So I don't know, because I felt like Chet did that, wanted to marry her basically to appease her, to kind of like, okay, I got you on my team now, which he mentioned, so I don't really have to worry about you. I can sweep you under the rug. Okay, Rachel, now it's me and you. So he kind of eliminated her out of the equation, but now that she's realizing what's going on, she's gonna really start playing this time. Hopefully.
Yeah, I definitely agree. I mean, I loved her last line when she was like, yeah, let's get married really fast. Let's do this. I was like, finally, you're going to take control. I just hope she doesn't go back on it. I hope she doesn't flip it or forget what she saw or somehow make an excuse for it. I definitely think Rachel and Adam is like one of the most serious love lines in the show on Bolt's part. I think it's one of the most real love lines in there. I also think your relationship with Adam is one of the truest relationships, not in a sexual manner, as some of them aren't either, but I think definitely that connection is the most real in an unreal setting.
He's my friend.
Right.
Yeah.
Like
You both care about each
He knows
other.
more about me than most of the people in my hometown know.
He's your only friend there.
He's my only friend.
He's my friend too. No, I really like him. I wish I knew him.
Okay, so for the record, I've been saying this since literally week 1. You're going to win. That's my prediction. And the reason is a couple...
Blink twice if that is true, or...
Damn it. A couple things that I'm thinking, and I'll be very specific, and the more specific you get, the more wrong you can be, but I'm going to be very specific. You're going to win for the obvious reason that they need the spinoff. I think Chet gets a spinoff. I think that's an obvious season 2 for this show anyway, so you got to think spinoff business-wise. They get the spinoff, Royal Love. Adam and you get married because you both know there's nothing there. There's no sex. There's no hang-ups.
Very interesting.
You and your girlfriend are going to say, okay, you know, we can do this. We can handle this, whatever. But I think the monkey wrench at the end, after you win, you, Faith, is going to be brave enough to say, you know what? I love her. This is a fraud. I'm coming out. I want to be with her, whether you say it on air or on camera or whatever. And they ride off into the sunset is Faith and her girlfriend, and then we are left with Adam and what the hell is going to happen in season 2. So you're going to win the show, but you won't end up going through with the marriage and the spinoff.
There goes your spinoff. Bam!
Hey, maybe Faith and Amy will have their own spinoff.
Yes, Mississippi Wedding.
Love
this is
in
what
the
I'm
South.
saying.
Oh, yeah, that Mississippi Wedding.
They gotta cut us a check for that one.
So many of our ideas this season, seriously. So I definitely, you know, I love the Jeremy character too. I know you guys think he's kind of weak and whatever, but I think that him and Rachel are supposed to be together.
No. I'm gonna say no to that.
But I also like
I'm not into it.
I also like Rachel and Adam. I really don't know, but I think that it's definitely going to be a struggle. I think that Grace is going to be let go next week, and she's going to be so surprised. She's going to be freaking pissed because she's going to think, oh my God, you told me I was going to win. Anna's going to be in final 2, and then I think the whole finale is just going to be a wreck.
Yeah.
Something is going to happen like last season did with Rachel taking the car and going crazy, but who knows who's going to be
Maybe it's Quinn
going
this
crazy
time.
this time. Maybe it's going to be Quinn. I don't know. I know you can't tell us anything, Breeda.
Anything you
but,
want to leave or lay? What? Anything you want to say?
Scale of 1 to 10. How right is Bobby?
Everything that you guys have said is a possibility.
No.
All right, now.
No, but I feel like everything that you guys have said was definitely in the writer's room at some point.
Probably was.
So which one's it gonna be?
We
So
don't
it's
know.
25,
excited.
25, 25, 25. That's not fair.
I mean, those are very
I'm excited to see.
Me too. Well, thank you so much for joining us tonight, Breeda. Where can we find you on the internet if anyone, wants to find you? I know you said Twitter. Do you have Instagram? Any of that stuff?
Yes, I do.
All right.
Is this where I speak
Yeah.
directly to camera? Hi guys. It's Breeda Wool everything. BreedaWool.
Awesome.
Instagram, Twitter, Facebook.
Cool.
And come and hang out with me there. and I'll do this with you.
Awesome. All
my
right,
phone.
Asia.
Are you there yet?
And you could find and follow your girl Asia Moné at Asia M Selden, and that's spelled AJA.
And you guys can find me at Nicholas Grava on Twitter, Instagram, Facebook, all the above.
Nick deserves a follower too, seriously.
Thank you, Bobby.
On Twitter at Bobby DeMuro.
And please don't forget to follow AfterBuzz TV at AfterBuzz TV on Twitter, Instagram, Facebook, the works, and me, Sam Davidson, at SamD43 on Twitter and Instagram, and at SamDavidsonEntertainment.com. We will see you guys next week.
From executive producers Maria Menounos, Kevin Undergaro, Phil Svitek, and the entire AfterBuzz TV staff, we would like to thank you for listening to the AfterBuzz TV network. To watch or listen to other after shows and post comments or questions, be sure to visit AfterBuzzTV.com. I'm Sir Richard Wentworth, and this has been a presentation of AfterBuzz TV.
See you later.
The views expressed herein are those of the hosts only and do not necessarily reflect the views of AfterBuzz TV or its owners or principals.